Hi everybody. This is again Alex and Thomas. And today we start with a complete new series, basically.
Yes.
And we will a little bit break out of the old data studio and BigQuery topics. We will talk about full stack data platforms today. So we will give a quite broad overview of what's different there, what is good, what is not that good, so pros and cons, what kind of things you need to watch while selecting the perfect platform for you. And a little bit talking about the difference to building it yourself in GCP. So stay tuned and have fun. So, Alex, full stack data platforms.
Yes.
What can you tell us about those kind of tools?
Yeah. Full stack data platforms that way.
Starts already to get critical at that point.
Let's start again. Full stack data platforms are or should be capable to do most of the stuff you need for good BI tool, platform, and however you want to call it, setup, maybe best word. Yes. So you need something like to get the data at one place, you need to transform it in a way, and maybe also already visualize it in the best way. So that are maybe the 2-3 most important things you need for sure for a BI data warehouse, however you want to call it. Yes. So yeah, should be already, or do you want to give also?
I think to give an introduction there, the market in terms of those platforms were developing that fast in the last couple of years. There are so many players on the market. I think if we would have like a big whiteboard, we could fill it with like that small companies and it would be full. So if you try to get a good overview about different companies, it's quite a job you have to do. And we would like to give more this overview today, what you need to check, what should be inside a tool, that you can build basically your BI stack onto a very stable platform, I would say, and covering most of the features you need.
I think one of the things which are changing over the days, weeks, years, whatever, are that they are focusing more on these everybody can do their BI thing. So you don't need SQL or really less SQL experience or data structure things. I'm not sure how real it is and how usable it is really in your daily life and if you want to build a proper BI solution. But at least that's the focus and one of the big things a lot of full stack data platforms want to achieve.
I think you really have to differentiate between positive and negative things.
Mm-hmm.
On the positive side, we have to say, yes, everybody can set up like a BI infrastructure with full stack data platforms. But the bigger the companies are getting, the bigger the teams are getting, the more challenging also with those platforms it is to do it the right way, right? So what I would like to say is it's not that a full stack data platform is not working then if you have a big company. That's definitely not the case. The issue is you still need to know a lot of things about how do I need to structure my data, how do I need to prepare my data, I need to transform it. This you need to know. Otherwise, it will not scale with very big companies at the end.
Yeah.
But it's a very good entry stage. And of course, you can build quite complex BI setups. Why is that a very big topic for us at the moment? Of course, not only the market is developing in this direction, but also companies at the end, right? Everyone would like to see what's happening with their data, how basically the whole data import, but also transformation looks like inside your company. And this is why, of course, also we as datadice need to basically, work with that. And we have a partnership also with one company here in Germany. We can basically put the link in the description if you would like to check it out. And today we would like to talk a little bit more about what should a SaaS tool for BI basically do, and what should it not do?
I would say I would add one more thing is especially this easiness thing. So so especially to have a small hands-on thing and to get really quickly into action. Because I think especially if you have, as we discussed in the last video where we talked about the Google Sheets thing, maybe your whole BI is inside Google Sheets or Excel or whatever, and then your company decides to go now to this kind of full stack data platform or these BI tools. And then all of the colleagues and so on have to quickly check that when they are doing it in one place, in one source of truth in this tool, that they can do more stuff and easily stuff than also in Google Sheets and so on. I think that's also one of the big things these full stack data platforms have.
It's, I think, a learning what you do over time, that there need to be one person or one department who takes care about the strategy and the structure. If you don't have that, and if everyone has the credentials or the right to change critical stuff, it will not work over a longer time. It will work at the beginning, but then you have this phenomenon like it's called shadow BI, and what's happening there is that a lot of different data transformation jobs, structures, tables, and so on are going to get created, and that you don't have the single source of truth. So it could be that it's there, but it could also be that you do certain calculations in different places. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, can I be 100% sure that my data is still correct at every single place? And this is basically what one person, one department has to watch, from the beginning till the very end. And if this is the case, then you can build a very robust and scalable setup.
Yes. So what should be these tools capable of? So I think most of one of the big things is versionizing of things.
Yeah.
So
most of them can do that,
yes,
right?
I think so.
But what this tool or what a tool need to do is like track all your steps at the end, right? So
put the name of the person behind and so on, the dates, and for sure, but that all of the developers have to be careful or have to be care of that they also give a proper name to the commit or push or however you want to call it. They do. So they don't just put in fix and they change the whole structure of the SQL query or whatever they currently changed.
You named at the beginning, it's easy to use those tools. That's a good thing. That can also be a very critical thing at the end. Because what's happening is that a lot of users maybe who are not capable of coding SQL or Python or other things can change very relevant things for a BI system. And one little change, if it's at the very beginning of a transformation, can have massive changes in results. And this is, if you don't have a very good Q&A system, and you don't watch those things, it can be that critical KPIs are going to get changed and you don't even recognize that. And that's why this versioning is so critical, that if this is happening somewhere, you can easily roll back to your initial version. The second thing is, where is your data stored? For me, probably the most critical thing in a full stack data platform is the data stored on your side or is it stored on the third party side? We as a company, like as datadice, are not doing setups where the data is somewhere else, because you don't know what's happening with your partner, with your company. We only implement basically data setups where the data is stored on the company side. Yeah, where they basically own the data. And
So, for example, in the cloud in their project.
for example, when we talk, we normally do setups with GCP. That means every customer has their own GCP project. They have their own basically cloud environment, which is register licensed on their organization, and we only get access to their basically project and organization. So that means we are not owning any data, they do, and they can also like do with their own data in the future whatever they want. They can change agency, they can change the tool, they can do whatever they want, and this is how it should be, right? And everything else is quite critical if you look in the future, because you don't know what a third party company, what an agency, and so on is doing in 2 years. You have no idea. So
And it's also quite good. So when you know where all of the raw data or all of the data the platform is handling with, when you know where it is located, then you can also, if you have some kind of a big thing to fix or something, or you have a problem, you can always go back and look in these data the platform is using. We also had it now for the partnership. We have 1 or 2 times the problem that we have to look in these data to check, and maybe we can do a fix for that in some minutes and so on. So that is also quite helpful. And that you always have access to all of the data the platform has also access to, and that it's not somewhere in the background you never get access to, and so on. Yes.
Yeah. Before we continue with what's basically important, maybe let's give a short overview about what a full stack data platform consists of in terms of tools. So everything starts with getting some data from somewhere into your platform. This step is called normally data ingestion or import of data. And what you normally do is like connecting a lot of APIs, or you have third-party tools like we can name a few like Funnel.io, Fivetran,
Stitch.
Verti, Stitch. What did we forget? There are a lot of them, and some of them are full stack data platforms. Some of them are more concentrated on data ingestion, and that's really like you really have to check that. They are basically taking care of the whole data ingestion step, that you don't basically need to do it yourself, that you don't need to basically code any APIs, need to maintain them, and so on. Yeah, and the full stack data platform is basically doing this step as well, obviously, because this is one of the main steps. The second thing, after basically get your data inside, what do we do afterwards, Alex?
Then we transform the data. So joining them together, putting them in one source of truth, creating our tables to visualize them later, which is then the third step. Yes, exactly. So most of the time SQL, we are doing it, or you should also do it, because I think it's still company standard.
Yeah, I think a very common use case for e-commerce is having Shopify data, for example. So you have order data, you have product data, you have maybe customer data, you have web analytics data, either from GA4 or from Shopify directly sometimes. You have marketing data from Google Ads, Facebook, Pinterest, TikTok.
We always have this kind of table, relative easy when you see it. So just per day to see how much Facebook spend you have, how much Pinterest spend, how much LinkedIn spend, how much Google Ads spend, and so on, which is already quite a good thing. And to get an overview about that, for every day just the spend you give to the different platforms.
I mean, you can say, or you can argue that you see the same thing in the platform directly.
Yeah, but then you have to go to the different platforms. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So and that's also already quite, especially when you do it the first time, it's not easy, because you have to get to look in all the structures of the different APIs and then to join them on a good thing and so on. So it's not so easy, but if you have that already, that is quite a good thing. And
I think with the marketing sources, the issue is that sometimes the events are duplicated and so on. You need to find out to deduplicate it, to check that the data is consistent, correct. So this takes some time.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So yeah. So if you want to look for a full stack data platform and so on, you should especially also look that all the integrations you need are into it.
Yes, very good point. Very good
Still
point.
yeah, available. So yeah.
So make a
first,
list.
Exactly. So
Make a list at the beginning. What kind of third-party tools are you working with? Marketing partners. Of course, if you are, let's say you are an e-commerce company, you work with Shopify, then of course Shopify should be like one of the integrations in your full stack data platform. If you do marketing with Google Ads, Facebook, Pinterest, TikTok, Klaviyo, I don't know, then also check that those are inside. Also check data sources like your NPS tool, your email marketing tool, any other data points you might be interested in the future, even if this is not like touching your MVP at the beginning. It's very like um, it's not a nice thing if you have half of your data platform after some month and then you realize, okay, this could be the next critical steps, but it's not working with that, right? That would be, yeah, it's not that nice because then you cannot build it the way you would like to do it. What's missing? So we have all the data ingested, we have everything basically transformed. What's missing?
and then some way to visualize it or to show it to
Yes.
the analyst.
Yes.
Or do you have
I
another
think that's
step?
that's first of all, it's right. Get the data inside, transform your data, show it right to everyone in the company. I think that's the least critical step because visualizing data, if you have a very good data platform, you can also do with other tools. We have you know that from our channel. You have obviously Data Studio because we do a lot of like videos about that. You can have a Looker, you can use Tableau, you can use Power BI. So there are no limitations or one of the other like 2,000 tools there are on the market. But of course, it also makes total sense to use the visualization of the data platform you're using anyway, because then you really have everything inside one platform. One con from my side would be that you then like 100% in that platform. Trapped is a very negative word. If everything works for the next 10 years, it's fine. If not, and if this tool is like changing and so on, there need to be maybe a point where you need to externalize
they're coming back to this thing that at least if also the platform has problems or something, that you still at least have the data in your own project, cloud, whatever.
Exactly.
So at least that you have always the data. And if the tool is not fitting or you have problems or whatever, then at least you can also switch maybe to another tool or do it on your own, whatever you want.
I would not make compromise at that particular point, right? If this full stack data platform cannot give me all the data in my basically cloud environment, I would not use it. I would be very strict on that because I would not put my data somewhere else and store it there. What I meant was automation and orchestration. So transformation is very good that you have basically the data that you move the data together, but this need to be done on a regular basis. That means every day, every hour, even like every 15 minutes, whatever is important to you. There are rules, there are dependencies, because it could be that this one step can only run after another step was running, so therefore you have dependencies, therefore you have schedulings and so on. And this normally this data platform is also capable of, should be capable of. And also there you should have log entries, you should see how many times it was running, and things like that. So you should have the full control over every data step, which is there.
This orchestration is so. For example, in BigQuery, you also have this kind of scheduled queries, but they are coming quite fast to their limits in terms of flexibility and so on, and what you can set up there. Then we use most of the time Airflow for our setups. It's working, especially when you already set it up one time. But for these full stack data platforms, it's most of the time quite easy to quickly refresh your data and so on.
Even if you set it up right?
Yeah.
You need to have a data engineer inside your company if you use Airflow yourself. That's mandatory. I would never like build a system if I have no data engineer, or give it to third-party team and say, can you set it up for me and then I use it. I would say no chance. If you don't have a data engineer inside your platform, or you have like somewhere in a remote team data engineer, then I would not do it myself, because it's a critical step to your infrastructure, and there should be someone who can short term do changes.
Yeah, so then I think also one of the big things is pricing in this whole full stack data platform thing. So especially when you're then working with smaller companies and so on, and they want to start with some kind of a BI tool, you should have some kind of small costs, you can try it out and then be scalable through to your, I don't know how you can do it via data you read as do it BigQuery, or you do it via integration. So how much integrations you have some kind of possibilities to scale then the pricing of the tool.
I think if you're a very small startup or a very small company, of course, price is an issue. Otherwise, I would say, of course, it's seen as a big cost block for like a tool, but you should also not forget what kind of functionalities and things those tools are capable of, and how long it takes to, first of all, like create that, but second of all, also to maintain that. We know that quite good because we have a lot of customers where we basically also provide the APIs ourselves and also maintain them ourselves. And we also try to get away from that because it's not transparent for the customer. You cannot really say, okay, you get that API coded right now and you will never have cost with that. That's not possible because those APIs are changing over time. They have fixes, they have problems, as you normally have that with every coding system, and that takes time. And if you work with an agency, those are costs. And what you would like to have is like making that transparent, which is very hard when it's about API development and maintenance. I think cost for a bigger company in terms of BI should not be this major critical point. Of course, you check that, and you would like to have it as like cheap as possible, or as good as possible. But if I see marketing spendings for 1 month, then you should not think about if it's 1,000 euro more or less. You should more think about, can I make the right results and the right optimizations to my campaigns, to my data, to my business? Because then like the effort you can get is like way higher, and you like discussion about cost is not even there. But maybe I also see it out of another like.
I think there are a lot of opinions about that.
Yeah, exactly.
And then maybe one quick thing could be also performance. So for sure, I think that's also highly dependent on the database, data warehouse, or whatever you want to use, or you have to, the platform is using. But yeah, for sure. So if you are integrating your stuff and so on, it's also highly dependent on the APIs. We also have now we had some problems with some APIs because they are not capable of sending more data or whatever you want. And then also that ETLs and SQL stuff and so on, that they are at least.
You should and can test it. So if you are going for full stack data platform, take one big if you have already like bigger amount of data, take 1 or 2 tables, make a very easy setup, onboard those 2 tables inside the 3, 4 different data platforms, try them out, connect some data, really easy stuff where you can really see quite fast results, and then see how quick those platforms are performing. But on the other side, I don't think that you see this major like difference in performance, because most of them are working with big cloud providers anyway, like AWS, Microsoft, Azure, GCP, or Snowflake, or if they have their own platform, I don't know. Even if they host your data, they are working with one of the big cloud providers. No one has their own machine in the office running. So I don't think that performance is this big issue. It's more like usability and how those data platforms are working.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. What else? I think we can quickly talk about pros and cons. Not that quick. Yeah, we said at the beginning it's quite good to have quick results, right? If you would like to have quick setup, start easy, it's a super good way to do that. You have everything integrated in one platform, yeah, more people who are not aware of how SQL and so on is working can basically handle those platforms, but can also be a risk, as we said. On the con side, your whole BI setup is in an external platform.
Yes.
You should never forget that.
If the tool has problems, you also have problems. If a server from them or whatever is crashing, you also have problems. So yeah. Like for every other tool. Yeah.
And you're depending on the features in the tool. Yeah. So if the feature you need is not there, you cannot easily have a developer and create that for you. You're depending basically that the tool is basically creating that feature. The same thing applies for using Data Studio at the end for visualization, right? I mean, we have to say that transparently. Yeah. Otherwise, I think, that's our starting video about full stack data platforms. We will go a little bit more in depth there. With the tool we are using, we will make some, I think, learning videos. And
still don't say the name?
Oh, we can say the name. Yeah. So we will basically put a link in the description. We are working with the data platform Y42, a company from Berlin, as we also have an office in Berlin. And we're super happy with them at the moment and integrating some customers together with them and all the points which are relevant for us. And at the end, we need to say those are the points we think are important, right? For full stack data platforms. You can put in the comments what's important for you. Would really be nice to see what kind of price would be fair for you. That would also be, it's a major discussion, right? And there will not be a point where you say, okay, that's fair pricing for everyone. But comment, tell us what are your thoughts about that topic and what pricing would be acceptable for you. It would be really nice to see. And otherwise, stay tuned. And
I also quickly have to say that we have blog posts where we already covered full stack data platforms. So, for example, Y42.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and we also have our LinkedIn channel where we also do some tech stuff and so on. YouTube. You can now subscribe, especially when you're now also interested in these full stack data platforms. And
it's
maybe
not
look for
easy
one.
to say that, right? Full stack data
platform. Yes, and our newsletter. So there are also quite interesting data analytics stuff from the world, from the different topics. Yes, and then subscribe to our channel. And
we can make a short form for that. FSDP. We can call it.
Yeah, we have to find a proper name for that. Yeah.
So for the moment, let's call it. Good. Yeah. So then, have a nice day and stay tuned till the next video. Bye, Thomas.
Yep.
And Alex.
Bye.